On the screen right now, you can see a massive wooden box housing a desktop quantum computer. This device contains highly sensitive technological components, and to ensure it reaches you without any damage, this level of protection is absolutely necessary. But honestly, even with this much care, can we be sure nothing will go wrong? Not entirely, to be frank. In this video, we'll explore the main interface of a quantum computer. What does it look like? How are calculations performed? Where are the qubits located? And how is entanglement created using the computer's interface? We'll cover all of this together. Before diving in, let's clarify one thing. We didn't buy a $5,000 machine that is little to no use in our line of work. Instead, we've gathered images and information to create this video. Hence the name of the video, Pseudo Unboxing. Now, let's move on to the contents of the box. Inside, you're greeted by layers of dense foam protecting a heavy 14 kilograms, to be exact, metal case. As we remove the metal case, we find the computer itself is entirely shielded by metal for maximum protection. Honestly, we've never seen such well-packaged hardware before. But it makes sense. There's no room for error when shipping such a device. Finally, we've reached the computer. It's extremely well protected, as it should be. If you're wondering what ordering such a machine might involve, customs clearance, taxes, potential shipping issues, let's just say it's complicated. For now, it's better to stick to exploring, without committing to a purchase. One of the most common questions about desktop quantum computers is, how can they function at room temperature without requiring an environment of minus 270 degrees Celsius? The answer lies in the technology itself. This computer uses nuclear magnetic resonance to control its bits, essentially employing magnets to do the job. At first glance, it might look like cheap plastic, but it's much more sophisticated than it appears. Its size makes it portable, similar to a quantum version of a laptop. However, keep in mind that it weighs 14 kilograms, so working with it on your lap is not the most practical option. When you look inside, the outer metal case reveals the internal structure. Here's what we find. The motherboard, which processes the quantum signals, and the RF board. In quantum computers, RF boards are critical components used to control and measure qubits. These boards send radio frequency signals to the quantum processor, allowing qubits to transition to specific states. They also generate signals to manipulate the qubits, making this board an essential and rare component. Moving forward, we see the equipment responsible for the shimming process. This ensures the magnetic fields in the system are stable and uniform, which is crucial for qubits to function correctly. Properly managed magnetic resonance can achieve the superposition state for qubits without needing extreme cooling. Now, let's talk about the qubits themselves. This computer uses hydrogen or phosphorus atoms, specifically the spins of their electrons, as qubits. These atoms are positioned right above the shimming board, safeguarded by heavy metals to protect the bits from noise. The heavy shielding ensures that the qubits remain stable during operation. Finally, we're turning the computer on. The first thing that greets us is the operating system, called Castor. As we mentioned in previous videos, every quantum computer currently has its own unique operating system. Unlike Windows or Mac OS, there's no standard yet. Once the interface appears, it becomes clear that this is a 2-qubit machine designed primarily for education and learning about quantum systems. There's no functionality for tasks like email, browsing, or gaming. In fact, quantum computers aren't and won't be good at those tasks for quite a while. We'll continue using classical computers for everyday tasks, while quantum computers will be reserved for specialized calculations. And when quantum computing becomes widely available, most users will likely rent processing power rather than owning a machine. Now, let's dive into quantum computing. On the screen, you see an interface for working with 2 qubits. What we're doing here is simulating how a molecule might behave under different conditions. This type of simulation can be invaluable in materials science and innovation. In the quantum circuit view, the rectangular boxes represent quantum logic gates. These gates manipulate qubits, enabling processes like superposition and entanglement, which are fundamental to quantum computing. In simple terms, what you're seeing here is a demonstration of how a quantum computer creates an entangled state using two qubits. The gates on the screen are designed to facilitate these quantum phenomena. Finally, we're running a material simulation to predict how an atom behaves. It's as simple as loading the model and starting the process. While this task would take a standard computer a significant amount of time, a quantum computer is specifically optimized for such problems. Today, we explored a quantum computer sold by Spink. This machine is in the earliest stages of what quantum computing could become, designed mainly for educational purposes. While it's far from playing GTA 6 or similar tasks, the potential it represents is incredibly promising. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel to help us reach more science enthusiasts. Who knows? Maybe one day we'll actually own one of these machines. Until next time, take care